Okay, this next part of this afternoon's session, let me just say to the entire delegation right now, we're going to hit the mics for the International Executive Board to make some remarks. And I know everybody in here wants to get to the mic to talk about Cecil. If you'll indulge us, we're just going to let the IAB do it during the session. Next, at mic number 2, Mike Dalpiaz, International District 22 Vice President.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak about one of my absolute dearest friends in the world. Somebody said to be short, nice try. That's impossible because you can't confine what you need to talk about Cecil Roberts, his legacy, and what he's all about in a short time. That's impossible. That's why us board members are all going to try to touch on very specific things about our dearest friend and our leader. That being said, Cecil Roberts is my dearest friend. Cecil Roberts is my work buddy. Cecil Roberts is a union brother. And I mean that from the absolute bottom of my heart, because that guy has nothing more than union in his entire body. And if we all think about the words of union and the definition of that, we're all one. We're all just like a family, and Cecil makes sure that happens. Cecil and I have a couple more things very much in common. We had the honor to be elected in 1977 in 2 different districts. I was that little district out in the west. It was an honor to tell her, and Cecil became the vice president of the largest district in this union because of his honesty, straightforwardness, clear back then, 40-some years ago. And guess what? Cecil has only grown from that. It's gotten much better. Cecil is also a special guy in a whole lot of ways to me. One of them is he's a veteran. And we heard and seen all of you veterans raised today, and it made my heart just thump. My father was a World War II vet, my son's in the Marines, and on and on and on. But Cecil is not only a veteran to that, he's a veteran to his family. Cecil is a veteran to our union and to the United States of America, and thank you, Cecil, for that. You come out of the depths in West Virginia and as a young man, and they took you to the United States military. Then they seen your leadership and your courage, and they even drafted you. Thank you, Cecil Roberts. Also, I had an opportunity as a district vice president clear back in 1979 or 80. My memory is not worth a crap anymore. But I had an opportunity to talk to Cecil Roberts in District 17 when I was a little vice president out in 22. We talked about some collective bargaining stuff, and I still remember the conversation there because I was told that that's a really smart guy down there. You ought to talk to him about that issue. I think his name was Benedict from the International Union Contract Department, and I did. Learned wisdom clear back then from Cecil Roberts. You know, and then in 1982, I was kind of a little radical feller out there in the West, and some guys got together by the name of Trump, Roberts, and Banovic, and they said, hell, we're going to take on the world. We're going to change this union. Remember the why not the best? Well, I damn sure do. And they did. I was talking to Patty and Nathan yesterday about that, clear back then. Sam Church and I, we didn't get along at all. And Arnold Miller and I didn't get along at all. But I got along with Rich Trumka and Cecil Roberts and John Banovic really well. So I was the first district president to endorse Why Not the Best. I took a lot of hell for that. And I'm very proud of that. Been on their team since way before then. I'll be on their team forever. You know, in 1983, I had the honor, well, I think it was, but Cecil and I spent about 3 months in a hotel in Denver, Colorado, negotiating collective bargaining agreements for 2 of the biggest companies in the West. Well, they was in the East and the West with Peabody Coal and Pittsburgh Midway Coal Company. And we spent just about 3 months in a hotel. We had 9 local unions, 5 different collective bargaining agreements, and we took care of every one of them. Sometime we struck, sometime we did some crazy things, but we did that. But I had the opportunity to be with Cecil, learn so much about negotiations. Go back to Cecil. Thank you for that wisdom. Cecil is an unbelievable family man, and he taught me that as well. Many things. With Cecil's family, with Carolyn and Kyle and Missy. You guys are just God sent. And I want to personally thank today particularly those three members and all the grandchildren and children for allowing us to have Cecil for all these years, because I know it's a strain on your families. And I think that Roberts family needs a hell of a round of applause for letting us use Cecil. Cecil's vision is unmatched to anyone. Cecil has this knack for being a visionary for all of us. You know, you just don't wake up one morning and just say, oh, hell, we're going to go do this. Cecil thinks about everything. He taught me how to try to do that. I wear the shit out of it. But Cecil is incredible on his visionary thing. That was a bonus to me. Cecil will never forget where he came from. He has never forgot where he came from. Cecil treats every one of us as members of this union as his family, and that is Cecil Roberts. You know, and again, if you never forget where you came from, you will be a better person. Learn that from what Cecil has shown us for the past 40-some years. Never forget where you came from. Cecil is a friend to everybody. He got this knack for BS, and it's just unbelievable, but it's all true. You know, usually when you say that, people tell me I BS all the time, bullshit, and half of mine's probably just bullshit. Cecil just has a knack for everybody's his friend, and he does that. He does it excellent. Again, he never forget. Oh, and by the way, I got to tell you this little story about Cecil. He thinks he's also a real good basketball player. Well, he's not bad. Because when we spent them 3 months in Denver, we had to do a lot of that R&R down in the basement of this hotel in downtown Denver. Well, I wasn't sure that's what they played there at the Haulers in West Virginia. But once the same basketball we played in Utah. This was like vicious stuff. I don't know whether it's holler ball, you know, for the Haulers, jungle ball, street ball. What I do know, there was usually blood every night after we played basketball with this guy. He's pretty damn good. But you had to play by the rules. We have an ex-local president here in the back in our delegation. His foot just about got broke because a bench happened to fall on it. Now, what the hell does a bench and basketball have to do with each other, other than that's how Cecil played basketball, right? Oh yeah, Cecil was kind of nodding his head. He put his head down, just dead. But you know, in 1984, we had a tragedy in District 22. Unbelievable tragedy. We lost 27 coal miners in a fire. 19 of them was brothers and sisters in this union. And let me tell you the other sad part about that. It was 1 week before Christmas. And I went to the mine that night. One of the first calls I made was to Cecil Roberts, who was over mine safety. And he advised President Richard Trumpkin and Bannerman. Well, guess what? Cecil Roberts jumped in a plane, and he come out to District 22. And we spent the week before Christmas trying to get our miners out of the mine. It come to the unbelievable, sad decision-making to seal the mine. A week before Christmas with 27 bodies in it. And Cecil and I and Rich, and Joe Main, God bless Joe, he's here in this hall, had to make that decision. You know, and we had to force that because we didn't want anybody on them rescue teams in the perils of worse conditions than what we already had. But during that same period of time, and Cecil and I and Rich, we spent time going to every family's house. Right before Christmas. And it's bad enough to have to go to somebody's house, speak to their children, their wives, their mothers, their dads, and tell them, we will give you the truth. We'll get you the truth. We're going to find out what the hell happened here. And we're going to be with you every single step of the way. And we had to do that. That was probably one of the toughest things that I ever had to do in my life. But I had Cecil to my side. Cecil and I, we would talk to the children, the parents. Cecil still had, on the 25th anniversary, a young man come up to him and he said, "Thank you for talking to me when my dad was dead in the mine." That's Cecil Roberts. That's the guy I know. We did all that. And again, one of the worst days we've ever had. Cecil and I talk about that often. It was one of the tough things we had to do, for our union. But you have to do what you have to do. Now, as we all know, Cecil Roberts taught all of us just a tad about being radical. Oh, he's real good at that. But see, Cecil's very eloquent and he's diplomatically radical, which is really a godsend, Cecil. Good job. Because I'm radical and I'm crazy. But Cecil is so diplomatic when he's radical. He's kind of like, he's like a snake and he'll bite you because you can't see. He's so damn smart. But Cecil, thanks for being radical and thanks for making all of us stand on these picket lines and go into jail, because that's what it's all about, because we're protecting each other. And that's what we should be doing as a union. Cecil taught us the definition of union. If you didn't know it, you should have listened just once in his 40-some years, and he'll explain that to you. You just stick together, right? That's what a union's all about. And that is what this guy does, Cecil Roberts. And by the way, and I said a little bit about this basketball, I'm not going into that anymore. That's a bad thing. He's so competitive. Again, you bring an issue to Cecil, and Cecil analyzes it, and I told him about his visionary thoughts, but he'll look at the issue and becomes competitive with it, because he said, we could do that. And you do. We can do anything we want if we sit and think about it and analyze it, and we will win. The mine workers is kind of pretty good at that. Sometimes it takes us longer than we want. Sometimes it gets bloodier more than we want. And sometimes we go to jail when we don't want, but you will win if you stick with it long enough. Again, in closing, and I apologize again, is Cecil and our Secretary Treasurer, President to be, or President already, or whatever Brian's going to be here in just a few minutes. He's already told us about, he had the opportunity to work with Cecil for the last 20-some years at headquarters. And Cecil has always taught everybody in the headquarters and out in the field, but particularly Brian, and I had an opportunity to watch Brian and work with him, and he's an incredible young fella. But I've heard this statement that you got to walk in Cecil Roberts' shoes, Brian. No, you've been doing that, Brian. Now what we need to do is get behind Brian, because that's what Cecil mentored this guy. And besides walking in Cecil's shoes or his footprints, Brian, you've already turned the corner and made your own footprints, Brian. And now it's time for us to walk in his footprints, is Brian Sanson as well, and we'll never forget Cecil Roberts. And Cecil Roberts and your family, I love you people. You're dear friends, and God bless you, and I'm always going to be there. Love you guys.
It's killing Cecil not to be up here to Mike when people are talking about his basketball game, because one of the first things I learned when I came to the headquarters is Marty Hudson put me aside. I was in my 30s, a decent basketball player myself. So I was going down to Cecil's play basketball. He said, "You don't play basketball, Cecil Roberts, son." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because Cecil doesn't play basketball. I don't know what it is, but it ain't basketball." This ain't going to turn into a roast. That was my only shot, boss. Mike, thank you. That was very moving.